everybody, and welcome back. We've been gone an entire week, but your favorite afternoon drive home show is back. It's the B Team, presented by Southwood Valley Animal Hospital, a full-service veterinary clinic offering tailor-made wellness plans for you, your sick pet. Not for you. It's just for your pet. They don't operate on humans, Richard. They just operate on your pets. Sick visits, daytime emergency care, advanced surgical capabilities, preventative medicine, and much more. They are Aggie-owned and operated by husband, Dr. Justin, wife, Dr. Lauren, a vet team that will take care of your pet like they are family.
Hey, you said they don't operate on humans, but what if you're a dog? Like a dog like Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin ain't a dog. He's more like a cat. We're going to get into Lane Kiffin.
He's another word for a cat.
Ooh, Richard. Innuendo to start us off. How it wouldn't be any different after a week away. We have some things to update you on. There's been an incredible amount of coaching turnover since our last episode a week ago. There are new coaches at LSU, Auburn, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Kentucky, and our friend Shane Beamer, after what I would like to call and coin the Cornball Bowl. South Carolina loses to Clemson. Shane Beamer got in front of a mic and once again put his foot directly in his mouth like only he can. So we got the Penn State job still majorly in flux. Richard texted me last night before I really got on social media to get updated on the Kalani Sitake saga and what BYU is trying to do to counter the move by Penn State. Richard asked that our Thunderdome Thursday be a crumble cookie flight if BYU keeps Kalani Sitake.
They got that cookie money, dude.
Who knew that Mormons rolled that deep in the Swedes game? I guess we should have known, considering they have no other vices. Marry a bunch of women, have a bunch of kids, eat sweets. That seems
doesn't sound that bad.
Seems like the things that they're good at.
It doesn't sound that bad.
Producing the show today is our good friend, and a good friend with a new haircut. Our first time seeing him since he got edged up, and his aura continues. You know, he's having a glow up. He's having quite the glow up. It's Fade Bickham producing the show. Good afternoon, Fade.
Good afternoon, y'all. Yes, I did get a haircut.
Hold on. Take the headphones off.
Let us see the fade.
Turn it sideways. Yeah. Ladies, look what you're missing. Don't forget, if you want to help Cade/Fade Bickham's glow up, drop us a thumbs up. Drop us a like on the video. It costs you nothing. It signs you up for nothing. It only helps us. It helps Cade. Remember, every like worth 1/100th of a cent. We are on our way to either getting Cade new glasses or I'm just going to tease this. We had somebody, a very faithful and loyal listener, a part of the Aggie Network, who is very skilled at their job, has reached out and potentially wants to help Cade with something. I'm going to leave it as open-ended as that. You can let your mind wonder what we're talking about, but Cade Bickham could be in line for another huge glow-up to the point where if he's helping you in the spring do setting the scenes for baseball, you're going to have to bring a stick over there with you.
Beat off the honeys off?
Oh, you're going to have to do what? Hold on.
That was inadvertent.
It's a wonderful start. Wonderful start.
We're back, baby. The
we're
B
so
team
back.
is back.
Yeah, we're so back.
We have a Top 5 Tuesday, as many of you know. Top 5 college football winners and losers later in the show. And our special Top 5 today, most quotable movies. And I think that will change. Hey, Nick Savage is in the studio. Nick, while you're in there with Kelsey Beasley, another could be B-teamer, Beasley, can y'all give us some AC? I'm starting to sweat like right there. Hunter Yurachek in front of a camera.
Ooh, you're going to get to see that tonight.
This guy is 2 for 2 on making an absolute buffoon out of himself after the college football playoff rankings are revealed. 2 for 2. Back-to-back weeks, but he sweat profusely in week 1, did the awkward 6'7" thing last week, and also called Reese Davis
Is he real? Are we sure he's not AI? Is he real?
And look, in the midst of all this, we knew that he was in the middle of a coaching search, and he lands on Ryan Silverfield. We'll get to that in a minute. And it was subsequently met with protest in Fayetteville, Arkansas. A very interesting looking protest. as anything done by the Arkansas fan base aesthetically is going to look interesting. I think that's the right way to say
Did
it.
the guy with the glasses that go over the top of his head show up to the protest? You know who I'm talking about? The Hog fan? That it's those... I don't forget what movie it's from, but it's a late 90s action movie.
Was it like a Doomsday movie?
Dystopian, yeah, like that. And it's like the glasses that are right here, and instead of having arms on the side, they go up and over. Makes for a very interesting tan if you're bald like this guy.
Nate Kearney in the chat. Thamel just tweeted Sataki is not leaving BYU.
I'm reading this tweet right now. Pete Thamel, sources. BYU coach Kalani Sataki has begun to inform people that he intends to stay at the school. BYU is in the process of putting together a lucrative contract to keep him. He's been one of main targets at Penn State, which he informed of his decision today. So congratulations, Penn State. You have swung and missed on BYU's head football coach.
Well, remember, they fired James Franklin so that they could get ahead of all of this. They wanted to be first to the trough of the coaching cycle, the coaching carousel, and in doing so, they are the last remaining power program standing without a head coach and seemingly getting embarrassed weekly by people telling them no. Depending on what you want to read on social media, Jimmy Sexton has had his hand in this in an attempt to embarrass Penn State because they fired his client, James Franklin. He's done what he could do to jump in the way of every potential hire. If that is true, that's alleged. If that is true, it is petty, but I love it.
This sport is insane.
Yes,
and the past 3 days have been insane.
Yes, let's start there. Let's just start with what college football is and why it, by leaps and bounds, is more entertaining than the NFL. Okay, and the NFL product right now, I think, has been really good. It has not been absent of controversy, but I do think the product is very good right now. And you have young superstars emerging. Drake May is incredible. You have staying power Hall of Famers with Patrick Mahomes and Matt Stafford and Josh Allen. Like the NFL is really good right now. But when you look at it through the lens of entertainment on the field and entertainment off the field, it holds no candle to what we're seeing in college football right now.
No, I mean, the Lane Kiffin stuff alone on Sunday alone, because I'm not glossing over the fact that last week they said, an announcement's coming. And then throughout the week, we had to wonder, is it Florida? Is it LSU? Is he staying? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Just on Sunday, it was incredible theater.
Well, it started Saturday night, really, after the Egg Bowl. Well, I guess that would have been Friday, right? Yes. It started Friday night with, let's just jump into the Lane Kiffin. Because on my rundown, I have written down, Lane Kiffin burns down Oxford en route to LSU. And to understand this, obviously, things have come out after the fact that would lead you to believe that this has been discussed for a few months and potentially things said in writing that could get Lane Kiffin / LSU in trouble from a contractual perspective. I haven't seen any of this stuff come to light. What I'm referencing is a few tweets that indicated Lane Kiffin and LSU had been discussing this move well in advance.
Are those the only Lane Kiffin tweets you've been paying attention to this week?
No, we're going to get to a lot of Lane Kiffin tweets because he spends a lot of his existence is on social media. So therefore, social media has dug into his existence.
Yep.
And the, what do they call them? The Lanestein files?
Release them, Cade.
Release the Lanestein files. Saying, yes.
So we will get into some of that as well.
Them.
But you got to go back to, remember I was on B Team last week and talking about how last couple of weeks, really, some of my guys that cover Florida were really confident that Lane was coming, even in the face.
Yeah. Okay, did you catch that one?
I did, yes.
They were confident that Lane was going to Florida, even in the face of all of this LSU chatter, even as it got whittled down to Ole Miss and LSU, and every national media pundit was talking about Florida being out, Florida moving on. I still had a guy that I talked to that covers Florida that was confident that this was going to be the biggest coup, the biggest subterfuge that anybody had ever pulled in college football, because that's how confident some of the people in Gainesville were. My initial thought was, hey, we're dealing with Lane Kiffin and Jimmy Sexton, man. Don't believe anything until that guy's getting on the plane. So turns out the national media were right. It was down to LSU and Ole Miss. And then you start seeing the photos and videos from outside of the president's house at Ole Miss, where the meeting was taking place between Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss brass. And it's like, this is real. Like, people are camping out outside of this house, filming cars going in and out, snapping photos with their phones, posting them immediately on social media. And then you start the memes coming out of the final 24, 48 hours of Lane Kiffin in Oxford. The memes surrounding Marty Smith, where they had him like he was covering Osama bin Laden in a cave in Afghanistan. I was belly laughing at some of this stuff.
Or the one that turned him into an old man because we had been waiting so long for the announcement.
Yes. It's like, at what point does Marty Smith start texting his loved ones talking about, I can't get food, I might not see you again? Like this, it was hysterically funny. Marty was a great sport about it.
Marty's great job. The recruiting, the coverage from him was fantastic.
Did you see he kind of rehashed how he got the final interview on the tarmac?
I haven't seen that.
With the
I
Pat
obviously
McAfee
watched
show?
the 5-minute. I watched his 5-minute interview.
He talks
I didn't
about
see him talk about it with
how
Pat.
he got there. They had to drive like off-road through woods to get around the security detail that was at that airport, at that private airport.
Wow.
But there's so many elements of this that just you're not going to get anywhere else in any other sport, at least in this country. Maybe soccer's like this in Europe.
I can't imagine anything is like this.
But this was reality television playing out in front of us. Like there was no pre-scripted thing. This was legitimately, and there's a large portion of me that said this is exactly what Lane Kiffin wanted. This is going down exactly as how he planned it, all the way down to everybody uncovering that Juice Kiffin is not his dog.
To me, that's the craziest part about the entire thing is you've got a grown man. I don't know how old Lane Kiffin is, so I'm just going to go ahead and say mid-40s. You have a 45-year-old man.
He's 50.
He's 50.
Yes.
He's a man. He's 50. You have a 50-year-old man using somebody else's dog as a PR stunt? What are we doing, man? What are we doing?
Well, this is also the same guy.
He's got a Twitter account for it. He's walking the dog on the field pre-game. The dog is sometimes on the private jet, but he's not on the private jet when Lane leaves. He's on some hunting trip with his actual owner. This is crazy stuff.
Well, it's also the same guy that does hot yoga, and then depending on what you want to believe, if you look at social media and some hashtags, also uses his fame and cachet to, he's single, so
what
we'll
are you
just call
insinuating?
it. Just call it what it is.
Leonardo DiCaprio-esque.
Yeah, I like that.
Is Lane Kiffin the Leonardo DiCaprio of college football?
Interesting thought, Fade Bickham.
Once they graduate with their undergraduate degree, he drops them?
Well, the old half your age plus 7 rule for Lane Kiffin. For anybody that's 50, half your age plus 7 would be 32. Let's just say he's not abiding by that rule.
When has Lane Kiffin ever played by the rules in any arena?
Well, the craziest part about all this, though, is you're sitting here watching it from afar going, hey, this guy's burning it down on his way out.
Well, I think the best thing
the
best thing somebody said was only Lane Kiffin would try to burn a bridge while still standing on it.
Yes, and so the statement that he put out, which I don't think we can scramble that together quickly enough, Cade, but essentially there was some subtle / not so subtle digs at Keith Carter, the AD. And especially when he was talking about the success, the program that he'd built, and how he expected, or he had the want and the wish to coach this team in the playoffs and stick with them through the end. And I'm like, you have got to be outside of your ever-loving mind if you think that all of this stuff can play out publicly. you accept another job at a direct rival in your league and that you get to keep coaching that team that you're leaving.
That's wild.
What kind of drugs are you on?
He was definitely taking a dig when he said, he like put it in parentheses where he said something along the lines of, it's also what our players had requested for me to stay and coach.
I don't believe
like
that all the players requested that, especially if you look at some of their responses to, Pete Golding being announced as the new coach.
They're walking out of the player facility after the team meeting that Lane wasn't at. Again, remind you, Lane did not talk to the team before he left.
I wouldn't have let him talk to the team either.
Sure. But they're walking out of the players' meeting knowing that there's media waiting outside the doors for something, and they're just screaming, "It's the Pete Golding era! Pete's the coach!"
Cade, you had something?
Well, yes. Would you guys like to hear the top comment under his statement that he posted on Twitter?
Yes.
It is kind of hilarious. He's like paraphrasing basically what he said in the statement as, quote, "I made the difficult decision." It's like an analogy. "I made the difficult decision to leave my wife, who's been a very loyal woman to me who's been very loyal to me for a woman she despises. I was hoping to keep living in our house through Christmas and acting like nothing was wrong. My request was denied by my wife, despite the kids wanting me to stay through Christmas."
Yeah, it's a good analogy. And Keith Carter was exactly right to terminate him and get him out of that building. Do not let him talk to any of those players and attempt to bring them with him to LSU.
1,000% agree with that decision.
It's not all that dissimilar to something we've seen here.
What are you talking about?
It really isn't.
What situation are we talking about?
Well, 2 summers ago, if the head baseball coach would have announced that he was taking the Texas job before
Quite selfish situation.
before the playoffs, before the postseason, the regional started, you think he would have been allowed to coach the team the remainder of the – no way.
Nope, especially because the team he went to go coach was playing in our regional.
It makes no sense. So I don't understand what Lane Kiffin's expectations are.
A lot of people have compared this situation to my situation, especially when you consider the Ole Miss reporter.
It's a little different.
It's way different. It is way different, guys. It's way different. Not once did I call Jim Schlossnagle a name. Not once. You don't get to call another grown man a name and disrespect him on a podcast and in the media and not expect there to be a response. You don't. That dude is not some savior of college football in Oxford, even though he ended up being right that Lane Kiffin was going to leave. He didn't handle himself correctly. He did not treat the situation with class. He was not respectful to Lane or anybody involved. That is what I would consider inserting yourself into the narrative as a reporter and as a journalist, which you are not supposed to do. You are simply supposed to help tell the story, not become part of it.
He definitely became part of it, and
he's loving it.
I don't know that guy from Adam, right? And I could be completely wrong. This is speculative here, but the look on his face when he was addressed directly by Lane Kiffin told me everything I needed to know about that guy, seemingly, was that he had never been in any sort of altercation before, and he had never had to be held accountable for the words that he said.
Yep.
Because he went ghost face, and he couldn't believe, he acted flabbergasted that this was happening to him. Like, hey, man, like, you called this other grown man.
He called him a hoe.
Yeah, he called him a name that you don't call other men. And you really you shouldn't call anybody that. And so he responds, and all of a sudden you're like, to me, that's somebody that has never.
The backtracking he tried to do, where he's like, "Oh, well, I didn't call Lane a hoe. I was just making an analogy using some hip hop lyrics, blah blah blah." Dude,
that's a Ludacris song. One of my favorite Ludacris songs.
Like, dude, we're not dumb. I know your entire city and your entire state and your entire fan base is, but those of us outside Mississippi are not dumb. We can see exactly what you're doing.
The memes that have been a byproduct of that statement have been hysterically funny.
Spelling hoe, H-E-A-U-X.
Funny. But you just, from that moment on, I was like, well, it's not the same as what happened with you, but it's in the same area code.
Crazy. The press conference was wild.
Yes, it's in the same area code as what happened to you. Not the same, but live on different sides of town, but in the same area code kind of thing. So I'm like, he's definitely leaving. He's definitely leaving. Once that happened, he's definitely leaving. And then the reaction in Oxford once news started to trickle out that he had informed Ole Miss that he's taking the LSU job. Where these Ole Miss people were showing up, especially the airport.
The airport
the videos
was wild.
coming out of the airport were insane. It was so funny. It was so funny. And it was all college kids.
I can't imagine showing up to an airport for any other reason than to pick up a family member or friend who's arriving to town, to drop them off, or to get on a plane myself. I would not go to the airport to welcome a coach. I would not go to the airport to see off a coach unless my employer sent me out there. In which case, I'm definitely going to the airport because what they say goes.
The whole thing unfolded in a manner where, like, I'll say this, like, social media, for me, at least my scrolls, it's completely useless and toxic. I'd say 5 days out of the week right now in this fall. But social medias on Saturdays this year and Sunday mornings it's worth the price of admission. Just having the memes and all the videos of the stuff that's happened throughout the college football season. And you go all the way back to week 1 when Bama got touched up by Florida State and the stuff coming out about Kalen DeBoer. College football this year has been a gold mine for Twitter. It's been sensational. Now, just between that, you got to swim through 12 layers of mud to get to the open water. But when you do get to Saturday night, and look, I was disappointed that A&M lost. I went to bed early after the game on Friday. Saturday night, I stayed up and watched all the games. And, you're watching the games, and you got the quad box on YouTube TV, and you're watching 4 games, and you got Twitter open and you see stuff happening. It's the most fun that I've ever had on Twitter has been these Saturdays during football season this year. They've been great. And then this past weekend was like the top of the mountain, maybe. I hope not, but I hope we get some more entertaining. But it was because it was the last Saturday and there were so many games played. We're not going to have that kind of slate again for another year.
Yep.
It was so good, man. And I felt bad because Cade is like where I dump all the funny videos that I see because I want to use them on the show. And I've hit him with probably 6 or 7. Nice job. He's growing. He didn't even do it. He didn't do it. I hit him with it was probably a half dozen.
It was 6 videos and a couple tweets.
Yeah. So, and I want to use them all because they were all part of my Saturday, Sunday scrolls where I just couldn't get enough. I couldn't stop. And A&M lost. I'm usually that way after A&M wins. After A&M beat LSU, I couldn't stop scrolling. I couldn't. That felt so good. It was so cathartic to scroll. A&M lost on Friday night, and on Saturday night, I'm right back. I can't quit this college football thing right now.
I couldn't watch. I watched the Michigan game. I watched the early window, and then at that point, I was like, I can't do it right now. I was still in my feelings after Friday night.
It was absolute cinema.
But when I got the notification, Martin Scorsese, when I got the notification that it was expected on Sunday that Lane would be leaving Oxford, then I opened up Twitter again. It's like, I got to see what's going on.
So Lane Kiffin is the new head coach at LSU. Pete Golding takes over in Oxford. But that was far from the only news around the league this past weekend. There were new head coaches at Kentucky, Arkansas, Auburn, and Florida. I want to start here. Cade, can we let's cue up the video. Actually, cue up the Arkansas tweets here.
Okay, which one do you want first?
Let's start with the tweet from Trey Biddy. Trey Biddy of hogsports.com, who has become pretty famous for his walk and talk post games. I don't know Trey Biddy. I've become a fan of his because of how he's handled this stuff. I mean, it's got to be brutal covering Arkansas football. They're 2-10 this year. They keep trying to make head coaching hires to get themselves back relevant in this league. I think it's become one of the toughest football jobs in the SEC. I think Vanderbilt has climbed out of a hole that Arkansas is falling into. And the hire of Ryan Silverfield was completely underwhelming for a fan base that I'm not sure what their expectations are. Like, what do the Arkansas fans think? Now, Ryan Silverfield doesn't exactly come with a ton of accolades, and especially if you look at his record against the top of the league in the AAC in his time at Memphis, it leaves a little to be desired. But I think Arkansas, having whiffed on so many candidates, and they were led to believe, or there was some real momentum that Alex Golish was going to be the next head hog in Fayetteville. Well, all of that started to flip this weekend, and they hired Ryan Silverfield from Memphis, and this was the tweet from Trey Biddy, again, a very, very respected Arkansas journalist that covers the team for hogsports.com. It says, sorry for the delay in commenting. He hadn't been on social media, I guess, when all of the script started to flip toward Ryan Silverfield from Alex Golish. He says, I was getting prepared to go on CBS Sports to talk Ryan Silverfield in Arkansas, but they decided Florida and Auburn hires were way more interesting and decided last minute not to have me on. I can't say them. I blame them. I'd bump me too. There is nothing against Ryan Silverfield. He wants the Arkansas head coaching job. Glad someone does. But it just shows how disconnected Arkansas is with their fan base. There is literally not one single Hog fan I've seen who has expressed excitement on a day everyone was looking forward to since the search started. I see angry, apathetic, sad, disbelief, and laughter as a means of coping. But should it be a surprise? As I've said many times, as all you good and well know, Arkansas has the worst football program in the SEC. So these are the kind of decisions you get. Arkansas needed to make a hire the fans could rally behind, a hire that could lead a groundswell of support, and this just is not what anybody had in mind. Hashtag woo pig suey. Now,
no, he's got a point. It's obviously
he's got a ton
not
of points.
It's obviously not a hire that their fan base can rally behind. In fact, they wanted to hold a rally against said hire. Do you have
it was small
and
and weak.
That?
It was small and weak, but they said about 200 people turned up outside of the football facility to protest this hire. Now, what I want to highlight there is this is essentially Billy Lucci of Arkansas.
Okay.
That's what it is. Imagine Billy Lucci writing this tweet, and it may have almost happened with the Mark Stoops saga. Like, I don't know what was in Billy's drafts or what Billy was getting ready to put on the message board had that gone through. But that's the only scenario I could imagine Billy being this on the nose about how disappointed he was with the team that he covers. This is a pretty, this is a serious tweet.
Yeah. The worst football program in the Southeastern Conference. And right now it's hard to argue with that. I think Arkansas at this point might be the 15th toughest job in the league behind or in front of only Kentucky. Because look at what Clark Lee has done to elevate Vanderbilt. It's leaps and bounds better than the Arkansas program right now. And getting a new facility, potentially, if things fall the right way this week, I doubt it, playing in the playoff.
I think they're good enough
they might send a quarterback to New York City for the Heisman Trophy.
Third best odds for the Heisman Trophy or Diego Pavia.
It's crazy.
So like I said, it seems like
they also
Arkansas
may or may not have just gotten a 5-star quarterback. So
yeah, that's another the Jared Curtis drama that's going on right now. Everybody tweets that he's flipped from Georgia to Vanderbilt, and then he comes out and tweets and goes, I don't know where this is coming from. I haven't called any of the coaches yet. So could we have another?
Dude, I love it.
This sport's crazy. Like, we have another instance where these recruiting analysts think that they're the stars of the show.
Anyways, it's back to the Arkansas point, because we were talking about it being the worst football program, one of the toughest jobs in the entire SEC. It's crazy to me that the SEC and I guess Arkansas has kind of delved into a territory that's only really known by a program like Nebraska, where you're a flagship program in that state, but you don't really have much talent. You've had success in the past. You were once a national power, and now you're fading into obscurity more and more by the year. I don't know how they get it back. I don't. And this was obviously not the cycle that Arkansas needed to get the man who's going to bring them back.
No, the ideal scenario.
When they fired Sam Pittman, and they had to. When you get blown out at home by Notre Dame that early in the season, you got to make a move and try and jumpstart your coaching search, get a head start, whatever. It didn't work out. And now you feels like you're stuck with the guy that's going to go by the way of the Eric Morris.
Well, I think Eric Morris would have generated a lot more excitement.
No, I got the wrong Morris.
Than Ryan. So Chad Morris.
Chad Morris. Excuse me.
And here's the reason. Okay, get this tweet ready from Hitman Hoops. Pull that one up. So this kind of piggybacks on Trey Biddy's tweet, and it also helps drive home the point of why these folks in Fayetteville were so upset. This is a tweet from Hitman Hoops, who covers basketball in the state of Kentucky. It reads, Arkansas AD, they cover basketball. I think they're out of Memphis. Let me look. Hold on one second. They're out of Memphis. Hitman Hoops, this is the tweet. Arkansas AD Hunter Yurachek just saved Memphis football by hiring Memphis head coach Ryan Silverfield. Here is what he has done. 3-12 against teams above 500 on the road. 12-20 against teams above 500, period. 0 AAC title game appearances in 6 seasons. Went 4-4 in AAC play with the losses to UAB, East Carolina, Navy, and Tulane. Memphis fans had been begging for a change all season, and they just got it. Thank you, Arkansas.
That's crazy. No AAC title game appearances. North Texas is playing in it this week. North Texas now has a better football program than Memphis.
Here's what I will say. And to fans of Arkansas, of which there are many that listen to this program, to fans of Florida, of which there are many that listen to this program, undoubtedly because this is the premier drive home show in the country. So I know that we are reaching fan bases across the SEC, undoubtedly. So for all you Hogs and all you Gators out there, I think I can provide you a little moment of respite, or maybe some level-headed vision, a level-headed viewpoint of this that can help you get through this hard time. Because let's not forget, Florida hired John Summerall. John Summerall was the head coach at Tulane. Tulane is in New Orleans. In other words, Tulane is a G5 job in the state of Louisiana. Richard, where'd Billy Napier come from?
Louisiana Lafayette.
Which is also
a G5 program in the state of Louisiana at a public institution.
And there were multiple media members in the state of Florida, not just the guys I talked to. There is a radio show that's based out of Jacksonville that has 2 old guys that do reactions to games. We've played some of their clips on this show before. I wish I had their names at the top of my brain here or in front of me. They're hysterically funny. These guys, whenever they decided to fire Billy Napier, they were screaming into their microphones after one of the Florida losses that we will never hire another G5 coach again. That's short-sighted. That's ignorant, but you can understand where they're coming from. So what did Florida immediately do after they lost the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes? They went out and they hired a G5 coach from the state of Louisiana. In the minds of a lot of the Florida fans, they've just hired Billy Napier reincarnate. I don't believe that is true, but that is the lens a lot of them are viewing this through. What I will tell them and what I will tell Arkansas fans is, you don't know how any of this is going to work out. If there was an exact science to getting coaching hires correct, nobody would ever miss.
Correct.
So
if there was an exact science, and even when you win the press conference, when you make the biggest splash hire and you give them a plaque celebrating a national championship in a year to be named later, even then it might not work out.
And even if you pay him $90 million over 7 years. And even if you give them a war chest of NIL,
yep,
it does not mean it's going to work. Let's not forget that A&M was about to hire Mark Stoops for an insane amount of money until the fan base revolted and got it undone. I don't think that Mike Elko was at the top of mind for many A&M fans. And in 2 years, he's on the verge of winning 20 games in 2 years. He's got Texas A&M in the playoff. And the only head coaching experience that he'd had before was 2 years at Duke. So you just don't know. Ryan Silverfield may work out. John Summerall may be the next Steve Spurrier. You don't know. But what you don't need to do is put the guy behind the 8 ball before he's got a chance to even pick up the phone and call one recruit.
Yep.
Now, in the same manner, there's no guarantee that Lane Kiffin's going to work.
And I also don't
This
think
guy's coming to Baton Rouge with a ton of baggage and a ton of expectations, and he's finally out of school. He's never been out of school, maybe Tennessee, but he's never been out of school that will have the expectations across an entire state like he's got at LSU now.
That's a good point. I mean, he's been at some places where they have lofty expectations. Tennessee and USC. In those markets, you are expected to contend for championships.
I'd say that Tennessee's a lot closer than USC.
Yes. Outside of LA, I don't think the entire state cares.
Everybody cares in Louisiana.
Yes.
They do. Reese Nygren makes a notable point in the YouTube chat that the second Bama opens, Kiffin leaves again.
At this point,
Maybe.
I don't think the decision makers in the administration at the University of Alabama are going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't.
They're much more level-headed over there.
The more stuff that comes out about Lane Kiffin, the more unsavory his off-the-field stuff becomes. And then you just look at how he tried to burn down Ole Miss on his way out. And it'll be very, very interesting to see what the College Football Playoff Committee, how they discern what Ole Miss is going forward. And are they docked for losing over half their staff?
Neil Brown to North Texas, per the chat, per Pete Thamel.
Well, he was a fired coach. Where's he? I know he got fired at West Virginia. I don't know where he went after West Virginia.
After West Virginia, he's been an assistant to the head coach at the University of Texas.
I didn't know he was at Texas. Well, good for Neil Brown. That's really not a bad hire. Although, here's what I would have liked to see North Texas do. I've said this before. I'd love to see like North Texas, Tarleton, Incarnate Word, all these places where they can be good launching points for young coaches like Eric Morris, like GJ Kinney. I'd like to see them go high. Like, my ideal hire for North Texas would have been Riley Dodge.
High school coaches. Huh?
Now, if Riley wants it, but like young, good energy, wide open offense, kind of a DFW, not legend, but his dad is a coaching legend in the state. He was in the state title game last year. He's probably going to be in a state title game again this year. Like, the trickle-down effect's going to happen where I think some of these top-end high school coaches in the state could get phone calls about taking a college head job. And if I was one of those schools, I'd roll that dice. Now the guy at Tarleton's won a bunch. I don't know if he's got a next step coming, but if I was North Texas, Riley Dodge would have been on my list for sure.
I was looking at where Joey McGuire was at before Texas Tech.
Cedar Hill.
But he spent years
Baylor.
as an assistant at Baylor.
Yep.
So where was Jeff Traylor before you in UTSA? Did he make the jump from high school to UTSA?
Why don't you look that up?
I'm looking it up right now. I thought maybe you would know. No, he didn't. He was at Jacksonville, then Gilmer, then he was on staff at Texas, on staff at SMU, then on staff at Arkansas before he took the head coaching job at UTSA. So these guys who are kind of head coaching legends in the Texas high school football scene, it seems like very few of them are going directly to having head coaching jobs.
Speaking of Jeff Traylor, did you see what happened between him and Jeff Monken?
Yes, I did. Oh,
I didn't get the backstory to this, but in case you missed it, which you probably did with all the drama going on across college football this weekend, Jeff Traylor and Jeff Monken, who is the head coach at Army, had words after the game. Go ahead, Cade.
I had to cut the audio because there's a lot of explicit content. But
okay. Well, we can kind of narrate over this. So this is post-game. There's Jeff Traylor and Jeff Monken, very animated, talking to each other. Traylor walks off. He looks pissed. By the way, Army won this game. Upset UTSA at home. And it's not often. I'm kind of I'm being judgmental here. So now you see both staffs pushing on each other. There are some staff members trying to let cooler heads prevail, but you see UTSA coaches pointing at the Army players to go away. There's Army players and UTSA players getting into it. How often do you ever see Army at the middle of any of this? Never.
Never.
So, am I absolving the Black Knights of any guilt here? Absolutely not. You never know what was said, what was started. I'm just saying, from my observation, when I saw this immediately, I was like, what happened here? Like, who popped off from UTSA to elicit this type of response from Army? Because you just don't see it.
Loser of the week mentality from Jeff Traylor. I'm just assuming here, obviously. He might not have been the one to start it, but you're involved in a post-game scuffle or war of words with a service academy after losing to said service academy at home to finish 6-6. Man, the shine has really worn off of Jeff Traylor, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it's one of these deals, though, where did he stay at UTSA too long? Should he have gotten out? Because now he's probably going to have to go on another 8 to 10 win season to get his name back in the mix for some of these next stepping stone level, next tier up jobs.
Yeah.
But, it's who knows? You still don't know. Like, you don't know what kind of resources he's working with at UTSA.
That's true.
They're playing in an old dilapidated dome that they've redone some of the concourses in, but it's still the Alamo Dome. I love it. It's got a lot of character, but it is old and it's ratty. It's in spots.
I've really only been to the Alamo Dome for the Final Four once, and talk about a horrible, horrible viewing experience from a fan perspective.
I can't imagine watching basketball in a football stadium.
Yeah, any
sort of on-court sport in a football stadium.
That place of all places too, because the TVs, the screens, when you're in a football stadium and you're trying to watch something happening on a basketball court, you're going to inevitably watching on the big screen in the stadium anyways. But the video boards in that place are small and they're in the corners. It's not like Jerry World, where it stretches from the 25 to the 25 and you can watch it in front of you and still have a good viewing experience and still feel the energy and the atmosphere of the building. The top 5 worst sporting event I've ever attended was the national championship game at the Alamo Bowl or the Alamo Dome.
To go back to the point I was making was you don't know what Jeff Traylor would do if he had the resources of an Oklahoma State. You don't know. Like, he might be doing things at UTSA, but they don't have the backing to make all this stuff click. It's the same thing I said about Elko whenever he left Duke, and people were like, he can't recruit. I'm like, how do you know that? He's never been the head coach at a program with resources like Texas A&M. He's an incredibly smart and cerebral guy. I bet he's going to figure out how to recruit here because that was his disposition. And his intelligence was going to allow him to figure out how to pull these resources and get them all flying in one direction. Maybe Jeff Traylor's got that. Maybe. He just doesn't have the resources at UTSA, so you don't know. But it does feel like now he's kind of pot committed there until he starts winning 8, 9, 10 games again and can make his way out of there. So,
Brauny, I do have a chat for you, a premium chat at TexAgs15. Do you have any thoughts on what we would be looking to do in the transfer portal this year?
You got this ain't the show for that, brother. I do have some thoughts. We will talk about those probably on TexAgs Live tomorrow. Tomorrow being National Signing Day, which is a great segue for me to preview what's going to happen right over here to my right tomorrow, and then what's going to happen again to my right tomorrow afternoon. So regular TexAgs programming, TexAgs Live programming, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning and running to 11. It'll be a normal show, but it'll be recruiting centric. We have 3 signees that have already committed to do interviews on the show. As a matter of fact, Zayden Crimpin just texted me to confirm that he will be with us tomorrow. But it'll be Zayden, it'll be Aaron Gregory, it'll be Helaman Kasuga, and we will also talk to Todrick King, who is the father of Tank King. Okay, we will have guests including Jamie McCoy, Kendrick Rogers, and Brandon Leone. And then after the radio show, tomorrow's version of the B Team will be about recruiting. It'll happen from over there at the desk. Richard will join me. We're also going to have, for the first time ever, a Zoom guest. We'll have Jason Howell on, and we are basically going to recap and review anything that we didn't get to in the main show. If you've watched our TexAgs Signing Day shows before, there's a lot of stuff happening. We've got a lot of interviews. We've got a lot of guests. We just don't get to the player breakdowns, all of them. Plus, we also have signatures kind of trickling in throughout the day.
Yep.
Some of them come in after we have gone off the air. So tomorrow, 4:15 to 5:45, same time, same channel. B Team will be coming to you live, but we're going to be from over there at the desk, and it will be about recruiting. And maybe I can figure out some We Learned Wednesday stuff to sprinkle in regards to recruiting. So that's the plan for tomorrow. Signing day used to be a lot of folks' Super Bowl. They would wake up very early, had massive setups, check in different channels, checking social media. It's just changed a little bit with the early signing period and the transfer portal. It's lost a little bit of its luster, but for us that cover it, you got to remember, where did TexAgs start? How did TexAgs start? It started with team and recruiting coverage.
Yep.
That's how Billy built this thing. And so we want to do honor to what built this into the the media giant that it is, and we want to do it the right way, and that'll happen tomorrow morning.
And I think you'll see that if you're a TexAgs premium subscriber, or you're a loyal watcher or listener of TexAgs Live, you're going to get wall-to-wall recruiting coverage. Obviously, the stuff that you and Jason and Cade do on a daily basis to give Tex A&M fans what I believe to be the best coverage of our recruiting exploits is fantastic. And you guys find yourselves going to another level when the calendar turns to November, late November, and then to December, because it's a behemoth. Like you said, it's y'all's Super Bowl. But then behind the scenes, the stuff that Nick and Kay have prepared for tomorrow is fantastic. The stuff you're going to see on social media from Callie and Luke's fantastic as well. And it is wall-to-wall. It's going to be a busy day for us here, but the coverage is going to be unlike anywhere else. If you're a Texas A&M football fan and you're a fan of recruiting, is Texas A&M welcomes what is supposed to be, a top 10 recruiting class?
Top 10 could go up a little bit more depending on the decision of KJ Ford. If you want the latest there, I posted an update before we went on to the show. And
it'll be awesome. And to our guy figurine champ, you're going to be bummed out because you're not going to get your hour of Olin tomorrow morning either.
Yeah, what is up? Okay, here's the thing, chat. I get that this is y'all's bit begging for OB. The more you do this, the less I'm wanting to ask him to come on. Okay, so just let it marinate, let it happen. And plus, you're wanting something. Do you realize what kind of temper and mood OB's in at 4:15 in the afternoon, especially if he hadn't had his nap? Or he hadn't had his Metamucil yet?
He's not going to be here for B Team tomorrow. I can assure you that. He's going to be in Houston.
Yes.
And he's not going to be on TexAgs Live tomorrow because we replaced him with people who played football.
He will not be on B Team tomorrow. I forgot to mention this part. We're sending Olin to Houston Legacy High School to do a feature piece on Mike Brown, a wide receiver signing with Texas A&M tomorrow, who is the son of legendary A&M linebacker and I would say famous in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Reggie Brown. An unfortunate, horrific accident on the field cost him his career after 2 years in the NFL, but was on his way. If you talk to Billy about it, Reggie was on his way to being an all-pro linebacker in the NFL before he had his neck injury, but has been wildly successful since moving back to Texas and is now sending his second son, Mike, to play for the Aggies. Also, his wife played basketball at Texas A&M.
And you mentioned that because where Olin is at his best, it's when he's writing. Olin's awesome on radio. He's funny. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth. It's a loose cannon like that. But when he does feature stories and profiles like the one he's working on about Mike Brown and his dad tomorrow, I think you're going to really appreciate it. If you're a fan of the written content we put out on TexAgs, Olin is probably going to be at his best tomorrow. He usually is on signing day.
It was between sending him there or back to East Texas to cover both of the kids from Carthage. And
if we send him to East Texas, we wouldn't know if we would get him back. He'd go hang out at the timeout.
So we do have some, some other things to get to in regards to just some thoughts I have from around the SEC. I mentioned this off the rip. Shane Beamer loses the Cornball Bowl to Clemson, the Cornball Bowl being any matchup that features Dabo Swinney and Shane Beamer. In his post-game press conference, where he has made a fool out of himself quite often in his career, he had this to say. Go ahead, Kate.
I hate it for the seniors that don't come back, but I can 1,000,000,000% promise you this: when we have a hell of a season in 2026, and when I'm doing this press conference after the Clemson game next year, and we finish the regular season, that because of the success that we're going to have next season, I know we will, we're going to look back at this season and say it sucked going through it, but because of what
of it there. Anyway, basically saying because of what we've gone through here in 2025, it's going to set us up for success in 2026.
I'd believe he's much more set up for success in 2026 if he didn't blow a 30-3 lead at halftime.
Hold on, you're missing the point here too. I think he's set up for a lot more success in 2026 if right before he went on stage, they didn't ask his star quarterback what his plans were for next season, and he basically hit everybody with, well, we're going to have to kind of see.
It gives me the kind of vibes like when I'm sorry to pick at scabs here, guys. It's not my intention. When the Astros lost the World Series in 2019, and immediately after the post-game press conference in the clubhouse, Garrett Cole's wearing a Scott Boras hat. That's what that feels like.
Yeah, that's what Lenora Sellers feels like. But I don't think, there's been a lot of kind of behind-the-scenes conversation that Lenora Sellers and Miami have already been in pretty serious talks, and that makes a lot of sense when you look at what Miami has done at quarterback the last few years between Cam Ward and Carson Beck. Like, they're going into the portal with a lot of money for quarterbacks, one-year wonders at quarterbacks, and that's what they do. So Lenora Sellers could see that and see a payday in South Florida, and the success that Cam Ward and to a certain extent Carson Beck have had. They certainly had more success at Miami than Lenora Sellers has had in South Carolina. But this guy, man, like, why did you need to say all that? It's like the biggest bravado that it doesn't even register with people. And if it hits home at all, it's the inverse effect that you're wanting. Right? Like, everybody that hears that, because he said so many things like that in the past, they just roll their eyes at this.
Every time he opens his mouth, I roll my eyes.
What he just did, Cade, is he just did the press conference version of walking off at halftime, swinging his arms up and down.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he's all about the nonsense. He at least tries to win the press conference, which, good for him. But it'd be,
winning the press conference is for losers.
I'm sure they care more about winning games. So
winning press conferences is for losers.
Agreed.
And the perfect example of that. The inverse is right across the street. There's a viral clip of Mike Elko after Friday's loss going around where he got upset about the post-game press conference room being unprofessional. And everything I've heard from the journalists on this beat that were there, he's got a point. But no one cares. Everyone sees their 30-second clip of Mike losing his mind, and they just kind of run with it. Oh, this guy, blah, 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 is acting like a loser.
Crashing out.
Mike Elko's got 11 wins to his credit already. This season, he's going to the playoff. That man doesn't care how he's seen in press conferences because all he cares about is the final score.
Yeah, and the fact that he's that mad in the press conference shows how much he actually cares about losing the game.
Winning press conferences is for losers. I think that. I believe that.
Speaking of losers, did you happen to see this fight between the LSU ball boys and an OU fan on Saturday?
Yeah, I did see that. And it kind of reminded me of the post-game thing I saw from the Silver Spurs and the Aggie ball boy. Why are we messing with ball boys, guys? Just leave them alone.
Anyway, so play the clip, Cade. This doesn't have sound. So as you know, before games, the kickers, they kick to both end zones. And at OU, you have stands right behind both end zones. And sometimes the ball gets over those nets. Cade, you're going to have to re-rack this here in a second so I can kind of give a shot by shot for folks of us that are just listening to us on podcast or on YouTube or whatever. So what happened was a LSU football went into the stands. This guy who looks like he's probably in his mid-20s, OU fan, gets it. And there's two LSU ball boys over there, and they're asking him, hey, can you give us the ball back? This guy goes like straight tush-push style and hovers over the ball and then picks up one of the LSU ball boys, spikes him to the ground. An OU fan comes over to try to mitigate the situation and tell him to give the ball back. So what does he do? He turns and hauls and throws it 25 rows up the stands to nobody and sends the LSU ball boys up there to fetch and retrieve it. Now, there were a lot of Oklahoma fans as the police and the security arrived. There were a lot of Oklahoma fans that were pointing at this guy. And I guess the OU fan's dad comes to his rescue. There's an older man with a hat on and a white beard who's getting physical with the LSU ball boys. If my past has taught me anything, that's good, Kay. Then it just turns a bunch of pushing and shoving until the security guards get there. But when I'm watching this and I see how many retweets and how many likes it's gotten and how much traffic it's gotten, I'm thinking, boy, what Oklahoma fans unknowingly did to their staff members that are going to be in the stands next year in Baton Rouge. Holy cow.
Bad move.
You think that those Cajuns are going to forget about that video?
No. They don't forget about anything.
The thing with these Cajuns,
grudges.
man,
they're mean.
They fight. They like to fight. And there's always more of them than there are of you, especially if you're across that border. So
it's like kicking an anthill, guys.
Yes, what you just did. Good analogy. You just kicked a purple and gold anthill that I don't think you want those. So now, like, I'm wondering next year if I'm Oklahoma in pregame and I kick a ball into the stands at LSU, the ball's gone. It's like the Beast in Sandlot. The ball goes over the fence. We don't go get it. That was a crazy video.
That was wild. Stop giving ball boys hell, man. They're just trying to do their job.
They'll
They're getting paid less than minimum wage to retrieve footballs.
Some of them, I'm sure, they're not even getting paid at all. They're getting paid an internship, like a class credit.
GA.
Yeah.
Most definitely interns or GAs, yeah.
Some of them might get paid, kid.
Maybe some of them, yeah.
I got some more videos to show you. Look, the next group of stuff that I have before we get to our winners and losers, it kind of all surrounds this gambling in sports that has become more and more prevalent as these illegal rings get uncovered. Guys betting on pitches has happened in the last couple of months in Major League Baseball. We've seen the basketball deal in the NBA blow up like crazy. The mafia being tied to college basketball. Like,
ooh, do you think Kaylee Dreyer's part of the mafia?
Let's not get into that. We would have to. It's an office inside joke. It's an office inside joke. We're not accusing anybody of anything.
I didn't think Dreyer was Italian.
Anyway, so let's start with this. Let's start in the English Premier League. And I know a lot of folks will turn this off because we're talking soccer, but this is a game between West Ham and Liverpool. West Ham is in London. It's on the east side of London, interestingly enough, but it's called West Ham Liverpool. Many of you will probably know it from the Beatles. And Liverpool won the league last year. They're struggling right now. West Ham has really struggled to stay above the relegation zone. Relegation is when you finish in the bottom three of the league, you're sent down to the second tier. It is a massive, massive deal for these football clubs, these soccer clubs, to stay in the Premier League because of the money associated with it. There's a player for West Ham named Lucas Paquetá. I hate that he says it Paquetá. I always say it
Paquetá.
That's what I always thought, but they always pronounce it Paquetá. Lucas Paquetá is a Brazilian who is a good player. He's one of West Ham's better players. From what I've been able to gather, before the game started, there was something like 29-1 odds that he was going to be sent off via a red card, ejected from the game. Well, I think, Kay, do you have the minute? Does it have the timestamp on this?
I have a minute 14.
No, on the game clock.
I know exactly.
Yes, it does. Yes, it will have a minute. It does have a timestamp, yeah.
Okay, so this was in like the 86th minute, correct?
Yeah, I think he got sent off in the 84th. Yeah,
okay, so we're toward the end of the game. Lucas Paquetá gets a yellow. Paquetá came out on social media afterward and basically said, it's a shame that I don't get to express myself and get all of my it's like a big feelings thing. There's a lot of people pointing to this and saying that there's something nefarious happening because he got these 2 yellow cards and there was nobody. Didn't that surprise y'all? Like, nobody tried to pull him away from the referee.
Yeah, usually the captain, the captain, I think the rule is that the captain is the only person who's allowed to like yell at the referee anyway. And so the fact that he's not even getting involved in this whole situation is kind of baffling. And so, yeah, so I saw like tweet, like, because I had to go pull a different tweet to get that clip, and it said like, it looks like Lucas Paquetá is back on the gambling again or whatever.
It was insane. And like, to me, the fact that nobody pulled him away makes me believe that this could be bigger than just one person trying to get off. Pause. One person trying to be sent off. Like, why wasn't the captain pushing him away? Why weren't the other West Ham players pulling him away from the referee? Now, I can tell you that if I had money on my teammate getting sent off and I saw this happening, I might let it happen too. But whenever that something like this happens, but given the recent history and crossover of gambling and sports and players gambling on sports, you've opened up a whole. This should be investigated.
What do you think he said to the ref? Using no-no?
In Portuguese or in English?
Say something you absolutely cannot say with umpire?
I don't know what that word is in Portuguese. You want to look that up? Say it on air?
I don't think I'm going to say it on air.
You might get ejected from the show. Staying on the topic of officiating, did you see this clip from the Texas high school football playoffs?
Is this the one you showed me? The catch, the ball that hit the ground? No, I haven't seen this one.
Okay, so this is from a playoff game. Do you have the teams right there on you, Kate? I can look this up.
I don't have the teams. I have the clip.
Okay, let me get this locked so I'm saying factual information here. This is a referee crashing out, as the kids say, near the end of a playoff game between Henrietta and Gunter. It's a playoff game at Denton C.H. Collins Stadium on Friday afternoon. The referee threw a shoe like a flag and shouted profanities while ejecting a player from Henrietta. So you can roll that, Cade. So there is a personal foul called on Henrietta. You can see the white hat has thrown a flag and ejected a player. Now he's taken his shoe off. He's already thrown his hat. He's taken his shoe off and thrown it like a flag. And he's still arguing with the player he's ejected, pointing at him to get off the field, that he has been ejected. And now he's pointing at him again with different hands, very demonstratively. And he's clearly mocking.
Did he do that? He did the crying thing at him?
So he's mocking the player. He MFs the player, like clearly read his lips that he is MFing a teenager, and then turns to him and gives him the crying emotes as if he was talking to a child, a baby, in an attempt, I guess, to continue to demean the kid that he had already ejected. Look, the state of Texas is at a shortage of referees, and so I think maybe they've had to index on some that for whatever reason aren't qualified to do the job, but these are high school playoff referees. We need less crews, so you should be getting the best crews. For a grown man to handle himself that way, a grown man in a position of power to handle himself that way at a high school football game, he is the adult here. And I'm really surprised that clip didn't keep rolling and that a coach from Henrietta didn't go address this face-to-face, nose-to-nose. And I'm not suggesting that a physical altercation should have happened on the field, but there's no way. I don't care what my kid has done. You do not talk to my player that way. You do not show up my player that way. I'm his coach. I will handle that. You eject him, I will get him off the field.
Yep.
But you do not talk to my player or any teenager that way as the adult in the room, in the setting. That was so childish. Play it again, Cade. Because I want people to see his reaction after he throws the first flag and he's thrown his hat. Common practice, right? Throw your flag, ejection. There's a player with his helmet off who he ejects. Okay, he's already thrown his hat because that's the second flag. Now he's thrown his shoe. It looks like he's ejected maybe another player from Henrietta. Throws his shoe in the air. Biggest look at me moment. Demonstratively pointing at him to get off the field. Does it again, more baseball umpire style. And then he says, it looks like it says, shut the F up, Kate. Is that, you have a better look at it than me.
Yeah, something like that. I can rewind it a little bit.
Yeah, shut the F up, MFer. Just spitballing. It's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Never okay to speak to a child, which is what these guys are at the high school level. They are minors. Never okay to speak to a minor that is, well, never okay to speak
and then
to
for
a minor
you to do
that
the
way.
wah wah
Even
baby
worse
thing.
when you don't even know them.
I was really just more baffled. I've never seen a football ref go full baseball umpire like that. Throw him out.
And
like
really,
that.
if that was the only thing that he did after the first ejection, I'd have been fine with it. Whatever. You're telling the kid that he's ejected from the game, but it was the hat toss, the shoe toss, the undressing of the player, and then the wah-wah crybaby emote.
The crybaby thing was just, and then
it's despicable. And I hope, and
the expletives are
Matt
wild.
Stepp of Dave Campbell's Texas Football I believe he tweeted that this referee will be reprimanded and no longer allowed to officiate any games going forward this postseason.
Should be ever.
I think a year suspension is probably good.
Indefinite suspensions should be what that guy's looking at.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. Just completely over the line. Completely over the line. And again, it's a thankless job being an official, but your job is never to make it about you and you become the story. Like Richard said as a journalist, the story's not about you. Same deal with officiating, but too often these guys are making it about them. And then the other note that I had on officiating was just some of the stuff that happened in the NFL this weekend, maybe most notably in the Texans-Colts game, where they counted an extra point that, I don't know. What did you think, Cade? It went directly over the upright, and the whole ball has to be inside the upright for it to be good.
Which field goal again?
It was an extra point.
Oh, the Colts Texans?
Yes, the extra point that put the Texans up 20-16.
Right, that's right. I thought it looked good on the broadcast personally, but then they said no good. I was a little bit confused.
Well, they called it good, but it should have been no good because the ball, if it goes over the goalpost, it has to be completely inside of the goalpost for it to be ruled good. It's nowhere near that. It's clearly
like
more
right
the,
over the
This
top.
was the Colts kicker, right?
No, this was the Texans kicker.
Oh,
it was
well,
the last extra point. The last extra point that made it a 4-point game, which is big. And it's not reviewable.
Of course.
I don't understand why that's not reviewable. We have cameras everywhere. Look, my team benefited from this, but it could just as easily happen the other way, and it could happen next week where you get screwed by this stuff. And it goes back to my point is if we have the ability to review it, why aren't we doing it?
But here's the thing. Even if we have the ability to review things, we aren't going to get them right. For whatever reason, we can't seem to use replay effectively enough to actually get the calls correct. The biggest example of that comes to mind from the Michigan-Ohio State game on what was Ohio State's first touchdown. And I think the Buckeyes are still going to run the Wolverines out of Ann Arbor, even if it's called correctly after review. Jeremiah Smith absolutely fumbled that ball after having possession, after making a football move, whatever, taking a couple steps. He absolutely fumbled the ball. He did not retain possession before stepping out of bounds. It should have 1,000% been a turnover. The fumble through the end zone, which again, still one of the dumber rules, if not the dumbest rule in all of sports. And then I still don't understand how in the world the Packers were granted a timeout after a clear false start that would have taken them out of 4th and 1 and put them back.
Bad one too.
That was insane. And you can
LaFleur was way after.
They're like, "Oh, but he was calling for it. He was calling for it." He was 10 yards away from the official at Ford Field, where it's a dome stadium and the fans are right on top of you. There's no way in hell that official heard Matt LaFleur. No way. That was crazy. Officials everywhere, even with the help we have built in for them now, continue to get stuff wrong. That's what drives me most insane about officiating.
I found the rule for the field goal thing.
Yeah, so I have it too. It is
The entire ball must pass through the
a
vertical
field goal
plane
that
of the
goes
goal.
over the goalpost uprights counts as good in the NFL, provided the entire ball passes through the vertical plane of the goalpost. This kick did not do that. And every angle you look at it, you can tell it did not do that. It went directly over, and if you had to lean either way, more of the ball would have been outside that plane.
Gotcha.
And it was called good.
They need to put a tracker in the ball like they have in the Premier League for like that goal line technology,
Sure.
that VAR, because that would be helpful for touchdowns as well.
And you could also just put vertical lasers coming out the top of the inside of those goalposts, and if the ball clips any part of it, then it's no good.
Exactly right, Cade. Especially now with how often we're using the tush push on 4th and goal or 3rd and goal, however it is, and short. Like you
can't even see the
it's
ball.
a massive
Yeah, you can't see
humanity.
the ball.
You can't see the ball.
It's rugby at that point. You have to have something to track the ball.
The AI overview of the Texans extra point says the Texans extra point against the Colts in Week 13 game was initially ruled good, by the officials. Despite appearing to be missed by many viewers, the ball was ruled to have gone over the upright, making the play non-reviewable under NFL rules. This controversial call gave the Texans a 4-point lead, which ultimately proved decisive in the game because the Colts, as they are driving, now they can't drive to get into field goal range. They have to drive to score a touchdown. And it results in a massive win for the Houston Texans, who continue to just kind of hang around. And the AFC South is now completely up for grabs with Jacksonville and Indianapolis tied at 8-4, and the Texans a game behind at 7-5, with a lot of interdivisional games still remaining for a lot of those. Okay.
I thought you were talking about the Colts extra point because I saw something earlier that Michael Badgley got waived.
Oh, I didn't see that. Did not see that. All right, we are going to do our winners and losers, and then we will give you our top 5 most quotable movies, which will differ based off which movies you watch and which ones stick with you. All right, so we'll go through this here pretty quickly. Top 5 college football winners. I hate to do it. Number 5 for me, the University of Texas.
I have Texas on my list. I put them at 4.
I didn't put him on the list.
Cade's still bitter.
A little bit, yeah.
Hater.
But like
Haterade.
They gain
Hater
almost
Cade.
Nothing from it.
Hater fade.
It kept them. They're not going to get
Keeps
into the
them alive,
playoffs,
but it still gains them almost nothing.
But you have to look at it through the lens of we also ruined our rivals' perfect season.
I still think there's a chance they get in. I
No.
still think
I
They didn't have
I
enough
wouldn't put it
Dumb
past. No, I really wouldn't put it
that.
past them. I wouldn't put it past them.
And they've, again, guys, and this is a made-for-television event. The 12-team playoff is a made-for-TV event. They're trying to get the biggest ratings possible.
But Richard, they've got to get to 10.
I know that. You
They
think
want that-
that
they
a
want that
jump from
A&M 7,
14 or
Texas
16,
10
whatever they
matchup
were,
so
over
bad.
a top 3 team and a win by 10, and you could say, oh, they dominated the entire second half. They could jump them to 10. They could jump them to 10. Do not put anything past the College Football Playoff Committee.
Man, I know they had
And
the
maybe
head-to-head
that's
over
me.
Vanderbilt.
Maybe that's me being an Aggie and looking for conspiracy theory and stuff like that, especially after A&M's been screwed by numerous committees, including a volleyball one earlier this week. Don't put anything past this committee, especially with the guy who's chairing them right now.
Who would they leave out in favor of Texas here?
A Miami, a Notre Dame, one of those teams.
It ain't Notre Dame.
It's not going to be Notre Dame, but a Miami.
Miami's not even guaranteed to get in. If Virginia wins the ACC, there's no guarantee Miami gets in at all.
There's no even if Virginia wins, there's no guarantee that Miami gets in.
That's what I just said. Verbatim is what I said.
If Virginia loses, there's no guarantee that Miami gets in because they still wouldn't be a conference champion. There's no auto bid for them available.
If Bama loses in the conference championship, then
you can't do that.
You
can't do that, man,
but
because
you
then
can.
You set a awful precedent for conference championship games.
They always set awful precedents.
If you dump the SEC runner-up, you're docking them for having to play the championship game. Bama's in. You make the SEC Big Ten title game, you're in.
Well, then it would be Oklahoma that they do like that then.
And who's got the head-to-head?
Exactly.
3-loss Texas versus 2-loss OU.
Don't lose to Florida by.
I agree.
2 points.
And that's the argument that everyone in Austin seems to be making is, we're being docked for the Ohio State game. You are not. You are not being docked for playing Ohio State. I also saw that Eddie Radasevich, I'm sorry for destroying his last name. What did you think was going to happen when you scheduled the Ohio State game? Did you think the entire country was going to look at that as an exhibition? What? You're not being docked by playing that game and losing that game. You're being docked for losing to Florida. Period. That's it. If you had beaten Florida, we're not even having this argument because you would have been a top 10 team entering last week.
In.
All right, number 4 for me, the Miami Hurricanes. I doubted them. In fact, I picked Pitt last week to upset them. I thought Miami going to a very cold weather climate, a team, Miami, that did not do well in their last road trip to SMU. I thought this was ripe for an upset, and they went in there and blasted Pitt. I got Miami at 4.
I never shared my 1. Miami's on my list, or my 5, sorry. Miami's on my list at 2. Everyone is talking about the cold weather, like you just said, and they blast them. Not even close. At 4 on my list was Texas. At 5 on my list was Vandy.
I got Vanderbilt way higher.
Indy was 5 on my list as well.
21 points.
I got Vandy at number 1.
Wow, really?
Wow.
When does Vanderbilt go into Tennessee and do that?
Oh, that's a good point.
They don't ever win there, but they went in there and mopped the floor with Vanderbilt, rubbed their noses in it, and oh, by the way, propelled their quarterback to the Heisman Trophy ceremony in New York.
Yeah, he should honestly, if they're going to give it to a quarterback, they should give it to him.
I think he's been the best player. Now, he's not been the best player on the best team, and I think the media will fall in love with Julian Sand, and Mendoza's been a kind of a darling all year, but man, Pavia's been so good, man. He's been so good.
They're going to build him a statue. They are absolutely going to build that guy a statue.
Well, I hope they don't build him one in Nashville before we build Johnny one here.
It'll happen.
Anyway,
1,000%.
I had Vanderbilt at 1, so spoiler alert there. Cade, who'd you have 4?
My number 4 was actually James Madison because they get kind of in the conversation now because of the whole ACC debacle. So, and I think they were kind of squarely out of the conversation, but now if Duke, shocks the world on Saturday, then James Madison kind of has an opportunity to sneak in that last playoff spot.
Be the funniest thing ever.
Number 3 for me was the Oregon Ducks. Good win.
Very good win. 3 on my list is another green team, North Texas. Beat Temple by 27, finish 11-1 in the regular season. Probably going to be ranked tonight.
Problem is now their head coach is gone,
but he's coaching throughout the playoff, isn't he?
Yeah. And look, here's the difference between Lane Kiffin and what he did and Eric Morris and John Summerall doing what they're doing. Bob Chesney as well, going to UCLA. They didn't make a spectacle of themselves and their programs. They didn't set up a soap opera to cover this whole thing. And there will probably be players that follow John Summerall to Florida. They're not in any hurry to do that. Like, that'll eventually happen in January when the portal happens. It felt like Lane Kiffin was doing what he could to destroy that Ole Miss program.
Wild.
Because they are going to be competition for him on the recruiting landscape and on the field going forward. So he was doing everything he could to undermine their future success.
Yep.
Whereas Eric Morris and John Summerall and Bob Chesney, they won't have this issue. So that's why they've been given the grace to potentially coach their team in the playoffs. It's also, I think these schools like Tulane and James Madison and North Texas, they realize that they're in, this could be 1 out of 100 years for them. And they've got to give their team a best chance to continue to have a historical season. Number 2 for me was the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Not on my list.
I thought Bama holding on, and that's what they did against Auburn. That's what they have to do oftentimes at Jordan-Hare. I thought Bama holding on was huge, and it was their playoffs. Lives were on the line. And
they did have a lot to lose.
And I thought when you have that much to lose, and the Bama fan base has kind of been itching to get Kalen DeBoer out of there for whatever reason. It's felt like he's been unwelcome since day one. They would have blown a gasket had he lost that game and fell out of the playoff race.
They would have lost their minds. 2 on my list was Miami.
We forgot Cade's 3.
Oh, well, my 3 was Georgia because the things bounced their way and they're in the SEC championship, and then win over the rival Georgia Tech. It was an ugly game though. That game was terrible.
All the momentum offensively that Georgia had built, you thought going in against a bad Georgia Tech defense, and they put up 16.
Yeah, it was brutal.
I don't know, man. Like, there's not an elite outside of Ohio State. I don't think anybody is unbeatable. And I think Ohio State on a bad day, you can get them. But there's a lot of teams that are really close to one another.
I also didn't have Alabama on my list because I thought they looked absolutely horrible in the part of that game that I watched. Well, not the whole team, but Ty Simpson especially. Yeesh. Brutal.
They can't run the football.
No, they've got serious problems. I worry about them in the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, if A&M's the 7 and Bama's the 10, look, I'm not sitting here saying A&M could roll Alabama, but I like A&M in the matchup this year.
I would have absolutely liked A&M in the matchup, and knowing that that's what it would have been if you had just taken care of business. And Austin, Texas kind of hurts.
Who was your 2?
2 is Miami.
My 1 was Vanderbilt. Who's your 1?
My 1 is Ohio State. There's been a lot of parity across the country all year long. It's made for one of the more exciting college football seasons in recent memory, but damn, the Buckeyes just kicked Michigan's ass up and down the field on Saturday in Ann Arbor and truly, truly looked like the number one team in the country. Clear cut, in my opinion, and I think they're going to be really scary in this tournament, as much as that pains me to say, because I don't even think they were at full strength, because Jeremiah Smith's only going to get healthier and healthier. Carnell Tate's only going to get healthier and healthier. That's a team that they could be ripe to
I said,
repeat.
like, they might have in terms of NFL draft prospects, they might have the top 3 players in the country on that roster.
Yes, that 1,000%. They've got a guy who's going to be a Heisman finalist who's not even a best top 5 player on their team.
Yep. Cade, who was your 1?
So my 2 was Virginia, because now they get a nice little Duke matchup in the ACC championship. They took care of their business against Tech. And then my 1 was Oklahoma, not because they looked good in that game, but because they really needed that one. If they lost, then they were definitely getting
that game was awful.
That game was horrible.
It was horrifically bad offenses.
So bad.
LSU, the difference is that LSU completely busted twice. Maybe you give Oklahoma credit, Arbuckle credit for the play call on the screen, but there was nobody there. So I'll give the credit to the play call. But the go-ahead touchdown,
deep shot to Satania, there's nobody within 20 yards of him.
20 yards, there's nobody around him.
It was bad, but
Was
they needed that
he
game.
faking the thing on the sideline again?
No. LSU couldn't even use that excuse. They just turned him loose. All right, we're only got 8 minutes left. We're going to go quick. All right, my top 5 college football losers. Number 5, they probably don't deserve this straight, but I have been on their hind end all season long. Nebraska.
Dude, I've got them higher on my list.
Nebraska
3,
gets
dude.
blitzed by Iowa.
At home.
And again, they're handing out, orange slices and juice boxes with Matt Rule after the game.
Why did they extend him earlier this year? Why? That's so dumb. They lost by 24.
Dylan Raiola's leaving. I guarantee he's leaving.
24 points at home to the high-flying Iowa Hawkeyes. Guys.
Where'd you have them at?
I had them at 3.
Okay.
They were
Who
3.
was your 5?
My 5 was Ole Miss.
Okay.
I mean, they won, but
I got
yeesh.
Ole Miss higher.
I have Ole Miss at 3.
I got Ole Miss at 2. Who was your 5, Cade?
My 5 was Georgia Tech, because they kind of just stumbled there at the end. Like 2 in a row to end the season is pretty brutal.
4 on my list is A&M.
A&M's higher on my list.
It's tough.
It's a tough, but we got to be fair. And I think, you'd ask the coaches and the players, and they would agree with that.
Do you think they'd go hand up?
Yeah, I think they
Hand
would.
up on this show?
Number 4 for me, the SMU Mustangs.
I have them at 2.
Go out to California and lose, and they made a run. They were getting their brains beat in, and they made a run at this thing. But JKS, Jaren Kiawe Sagapolutele, the quarterback at Cal, made enough plays for the Golden Bears to win, and SMU is out of the playoff discussion.
It's also set up for Duke to go to the ACC championship game, right? If SMU just handled their business, they'd be in Charlotte.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yep.
Pitt could have been there too.
All right, so 4 for you was
A&M.
4
A&M.
Okay. 3 for me was A&M.
I have Nebraska at 3.
Nebraska at 3. Cade.
Oh, my 3 was Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. I got Ole Miss at 2.
I've got SMU at 2.
I have Pitt at 2.
Oh.
Because they got blitzed and they could have won to get into the ACC championship game.
Fair enough.
You're just starting that early Pitt hate before this Bucky McMillan beatdown tonight, huh?
Yeah, sure.
The number 1 college football loser of the last week of the regular season for me, Richard, cover your ears, the Michigan Wolverines.
Hard to argue. They looked like trash. What is Sharon Moore doing? Like, he stinks.
There's some momentum today that he may be out of a job.
He should be. He's terrible.
Bryce Underwood took no steps forward.
No, he looks terrible.
Paid him $12 million.
They let him throw the ball 5 times in the first half. 5 times in the first half. Everything else was a run. And they lost their second string running back in the first half because they were playing without Justin Hayes. 1 on my list is Lane Kiffin for all the reasons discussed at the open of the show. Loser behavior.
My 1 was SMU.
Okay.
That was bad.
All right, our final top 5, our niche top 5 today is top 5 most quotable movies. This should be interesting. There's a couple of my favorite movies mixed in here. Obviously, your favorite movies you are going to quote a little bit more, but all of these movies I really enjoy, but I don't know that I would have them in my top 5 movies list. Number 5 for me is my favorite movie of all time, Bull Durham.
Bull Durham's on my list. It's at 4. And we also tried to clean up one of those quotes earlier on this show.
We did.
There's a no-no with umpires, boys and girls. And when you are old enough to watch Bull Durham, you will learn what it is.
Crash must have called the guy.
Yeah. So many good
so
many good quotes. You got to work. Kay Bickham, we're going to work on your cliches. You need to know them. You need to love them.
You got mold on your shower shoes, Cade Bickham?
He
doesn't get it.
I haven't watched that movie enough to be able to quote it.
Oh, man.
I do love that movie, though. It's really good.
And you can just stop watching when the final 20 minutes roll around.
5,
super bad. Why would you park in the staff lot? You're not even staff.
Muhammad's the most common name.
Muhammad's most commonly used name in the world. Read a book for once. It's soccer, Greg. It's soccer.
It was like 8 years ago. People don't forget. All right, Cade, 5.
That's a good one. My 5, I put in Glorious Bastards.
Great movie.
I'll take that deal.
Yeah.
Damn good deal.
Yep.
Buongiorno.
It's
Buongiorno.
good. And there's some tough scenes to get through because they did a great job of making your skin kind of crawl with the awkwardness. Whenever he's trying to speak Italian.
That's a bingo.
There's some really skin crawly moments, but it's such a good movie.
Christoph Waltz brilliant as the villain in that movie.
He's fantastic.
He's brilliant.
Number 4 for me, The Other Guys.
Oh, so good. Not on my list. Not on my list. And we're watching.
You go to my wife's?
We are.
You go to my house?
Say my name's wife. Say my wife's name right. We're rewatching Stranger Things right now. We're a little bit behind, and of course, the guy who plays he's Maury in Stranger Things. And every time I see him, I'm always thinking, probably think I'm really hairy. Shave.
The sound of your piss hitting the urinal is feminine. All right,
hey, Kate, when's the last time you did a desk pop? Bull Durham. September 08. Bull Durham was 4.
Okay, Cade, 4.
My 4, I put the bench warmers.
Okay, I like bench warmers.
Yeah.
I am 12.
Real classic.
It's good. I like bench warmers. Good movie. I don't know that I could quote it, but it's a good movie. I appreciate that. 3 for me, Step Brothers.
Same. You have to call me Nighthawk.
You have to call me Dragon.
Be quiet. You're waking the neighbors.
I smoked pot with Johnny Hopkins.
You don't even know anybody named Johnny Hopkins.
Cade?
I put at number 3, I put Talladega Nights, classic.
Oh,
if you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
Things.
I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Piss excellence.
Number 2 for me, Major League. And I didn't have the heart to specify 1 or 2.
Good pull.
Just a bit outside. Tried the corner and missed.
That's the best part. Tried the corner and missed.
It looks like Willie Hayes is trying to hit Rick Vaughn. And why not? Everybody else in the league does.
You may run like Mays, but you hit like 2 on my list is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, good call.
Love that movie. Fantastic. Huh?
Okay. I've seen it, but it's been so long.
Here's where Cameron goes bazoo. Kate,
good movie. My number 2, I put Elf.
Santa!
I know him.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find
my
your
battery
dad.
pack just went out, Kate, but don't worry about it. We're on our last movie here.
Thanks, Mr. Narwhal.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
He just said that before your.
Oh, did I? I couldn't hear it.
Went out.
Number 1 for me, Mock. Yeah. Ing. Yeah. Bird. Yeah. 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 Mockingbird. Dumb and Dumber.
1 on my list is Forrest Gump. Janae.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
Life is like a box of chocolates.
You have to tell me what Cade's is. Cade, tell yours and hit us with the outro music.
One on my list is Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite. You kind of look like Napoleon with your hair.
Yeah, and Richard could be Kip.
No, we talked about him being Kip later.
He could. Fade Bickham could be Kip.
We get him a fade, give him a do-rag.
All
right,
right, tomorrow we'll be right back here. A recruiting edition of the B Team tomorrow. Signing day show coming to you live from the desk to my right. Starting at 8 a.m. We'll be with you for 3 hours on the air. I'll be there. Richard will be in the back. Then we'll have, like I said, the signing day edition of the B Team tomorrow afternoon. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're back, baby. We're back on the B Team, presented by Southwood Valley Animal Hospital.